Okay, we had a very good session on the mastermind of this week, and we talk about mixed and private mortgages, pros and cons. So I'm gonna explain a few notes. Number one, always when you're dealing with a MIC or a private mortgage or a private individual, have lots of notes. The notes will save you because these type of mortgages have the potential, especially the private, where more lawsuits will come back to the broker and to the brokerage. So make sure you have very good notes on everything that has happened on that file. Number two, always have an exit strategy. Private or financing through mixed mortgage investment corporations are meant to be short-term financing, not long-term. So you should always have an exit strategy in 6 months, 1 year, maximum 2 years down the road, because otherwise it becomes prohibitive for the person taking that loan. And always let them know there's one advisor that I really like. He gave the tip that he always makes the borrower sign that he's aware of all the notes that he explained, and that this is a short-term mortgage, and that there is an exit plan in place, and that he will follow with the exit plan so they can refinance the mortgage. Otherwise, he will be forced to sell. I think that was very clever, because when you have that writing in your folder, then if something happens in the future, you will be covered. Okay, and super important, know very well the mix mortgage investment corporations and the private investors that you're dealing with. Learn their policies, what is going to happen at renewal, all the fees and everything. The less you know about those mix, the more risk you have, because things can go sideways, or there's things that you don't know that will happen to your borrower, and everything will come back to you, and you may get a bad Google review. It will tarnish your reputation, or things will happen. So always know the mix that you deal with and the private investors really well. Now, in terms of comparison between a MIC and private individual, number one, definitions. A MIC is just a fund, a group of private individuals. They hire a fund manager. Basically, they manage the MIC, and they take the decisions on behalf of the investor. So it's a professional setup. When you're dealing directly with a private investor who has an RSP, a TFSA, or is a wealthy individual, there's not so much structure. He may have or may not have experience, and the decision will be more emotional versus guidelines with a MIC. Number two, the underwriting, as I said, is more professional with a MIC than with a private investor. But again, you may get exceptions with a private investor, because you can talk him out into accepting other collateral or being a little bit more creative, where a MIC will just adhere to the set of policies that they have. Liquidity, super important. A MIC will have millions of dollars available for to lend out, where a private individual, you may have one or two individuals, and if you lend their monies out, you're left with no funds. You have to source other private individuals. So there's liquidity issues as well. It's In my opinion, it's riskier at renewal to work with a private individual, because the private individual personal situation may change, and they may not want to renew that mortgage, forcing the borrower or for you to get another private for the person, and that will be with more fees, expenses, and everything. So it will be risking for the borrower. With mix, as long as you know what is the renewal policy and the payments have been through, they could offer a renewal with very low cost to the borrower. Thus, it will be more beneficial to them. We talk about professional management. Mix are professionally managed, where private individuals, they just want a higher return. And also super important with a MIC, the borrower may request, or you may request, a mortgage statement, where with a private individual, if you don't have the software and the proper setup, or the administrator that's going to administer that loan, there will not be a record of the payments, and it's going to be messier. I've seen brokers who have messy administration of private mortgages, and that can create a problem for your reputation, for the client, extra work to you, and I wouldn't advise that. Interest rate risk, mix are more structured in the way they set up their rates, where a private individual will be more emotional. If you have a good connection with that private individual, you may be able to manage that a little bit better, but there's always that difference. And always, as I said, on both cases, have exit strategies. Again, from that private or MIC individual, You have to explain him why he's going into this, why he cannot qualify for an A or B deal, and how you're going to help him to get out of that MIC or private into a regular mortgage so they're not forced to sell that home in the future or go into foreclosure because they cannot afford the payments anymore. All the best. Hopefully that helps. Please join our mastermind. This is just a brief summary. I think it's under 5 minutes. We talked for about 45 minutes. I cannot summarize all the great ideas and tips that all the mortgage brokers gave to this group. Come join us, and we'll keep explaining different areas how you can improve and better your career. But I will keep providing these summaries. I will put the link somewhere below here so you can join our mastermind. All the best. See you in the next one.